Honestly, guys, I'm exhausted. It was hard getting through that Raw last night, and I don't even remember the outcome. I had of the ending. I had to go back and watch it again. But last night was the longest, most dragged out Raw I've ever encountered in my life, to where I couldn't even do a review afterwards. I literally passed out, and I had to get up really early to do this one. Well, I have to get up early anyway. But other than that, it was hard. It was really hard to get through, man. Like, no joke. Seriously. The opener was pretty interesting in itself, when you had, like, all the women that, well, not all the women, but you had Dana Brooke come out there and with Charlotte, and then Charlotte pretty much just trashed her, even though that Dana Brooke should have stepped off a long time ago. She's not going to be able to learn how to be her own person if she don't get out of Charlotte's shadow. But to be honest with you, I think she's learned bupkis from Charlotte. She just got airtime. That's it. In the ring, I will admit she's getting better, but she shouldn't have had it. She shouldn't have been in a position for a title shot. She's far from it. And I'm not gonna lie, I always cringe every time the camera's on her, because for some strange reason those creepy cameramen keep doing these really awkward shots on Dana every time she does a flip and does a pin. Her butt is always in the camera every time, and I'm realizing that it's always with the women. It's awkward. It's extraordinarily awkward. I hate every bit of it. I really do. But the thing of it is that she's getting better in the ring, and I think she'll just get better with time. Excuse me, that's how tired I am, y'all. But anyway, the one thing I say is that whole match was pointless. The whole segment was pointless, because in the very end we knew that Sasha was gonna take it, because it was hers to begin with. And yes, I love Bayley. I love Bayley. But Bayley did not deserve a title shot here. Down the line, yeah, but we need to have a rematch with Sasha. A one-on-one. None of these triple threat, fatal four-way nonsenses. Seriously, none of that. But down the line, I'm not going to really go into every single match. I'm not even going to go into the Bo Dallas squash match. But I will go into what I consider to be the biggest shocker of the night, because I never really thought that the WWE was going to allow this to happen. Nia Jax was a freaking beast. Like, without a doubt, that chick literally plowed Alicia Fox into a barricade and just had her just laying there. I was shocked that they actually made her the true monster that she is. Without a doubt, I knew Alicia Fox wasn't going to make it in the ring, like literally beat her. I knew that wasn't going to happen. But the fact that they are making Nia Jax a legit threat made me excited and happy for her, because we haven't had a true monster heel since China, God rest her soul. But she was the only one. You can't necessarily say Beth Phoenix. Well, actually, you can kind of say Beth Phoenix. I guess in the modern era, it was close to the modern era. Well, the PG era, I don't know what. It probably was the PG era, that you could say Beth Phoenix was probably somewhat dominant, but that didn't really last that long. It only lasted maybe a few months, while China remained dominant throughout her entire time there. She's the true monster heel, in my opinion, and it was a long time since that ever happened, and it's been a long time coming. I'm happy what they did with Nia Jax. They made her the monster that she really is, and I am absolutely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this. I really am. But moving on from there, the one thing that I necessarily think that was the highlight of the night for segment wise, definitely, excuse me, was the highlight reel. The highlight reel was Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn practically owned Chris Jericho on the mic. I thought that was great. I really did. I enjoyed that. Sami Zayn just practically owned him. It felt weird though, because it felt like Sami Zayn, who is the ex-boyfriend of Kevin Owens, is talking to the current boyfriend of Chris Jericho, and how the ex-boyfriend was warning the current boyfriend that his ex-boyfriend is dangerous and unworthy. It felt weird. It did. But I'm not gonna lie, he practically owned him on the mic. But wow, man. And he was like literally hyping up Jericho and talking about how great Jericho is and kind of down to Kevin Owens. I get that. Kevin Owens is a heel. I get that. But Jericho, does he really need to be hyped up? Mm-mm. No. No way. And I was also really shocked at the fact that they were making a lot of SmackDown references on Raw. This is supposed to be a competition. I thought you guys weren't supposed to exist, but for some reason, well, between each other. But for some strange reason, they talked a lot about SmackDown. I don't know. I really don't know what they decided to do here. It made no sense. But speaking of a match that made no sense to even take place, let's talk about the Jinder Mahal and Jack Swagger match. Now, yes, I know Jinder Mahal is not Middle Eastern. He is supposed to be from India, like maybe West India. He's supposed to be from India. I get it. He's supposed to be a rich aristocrat from India. I get it. But a lot of people are not going to see it that way in the States. Let's be honest. Anyone that sees a turban is going to automatically assume Muslim or automatically assume Middle Eastern, which is wrong. But the entire gimmick was nothing but a big stereotypical walk in the past in the 80s. That's how I felt. And not only that, it was extremely uncalled for because 9/11 was just yesterday. I don't care if Jinder Mahal has an Indian gimmick. I understand he is Indian. I don't know if he's Indian in real life, but I know he plays an Indian character. I get that. But the fact of the matter is, you're in America, and not to mention you're in Maryland. That is not that far from DC. Other than that, people are going to think differently in the States. We know what people think. When you see a turban, what do you think? Muslim. And that's not even true. But the thing of it is, it was uncalled for to have Jack Swagger in that match with Jinder Mahal post 9/11 and also have Jack Swagger lose. Even if Jack Swagger won, and even if Jack Swagger didn't win, the match shouldn't have taken place. And it looks like that we're not going to see Jack Swagger anymore, even though Jack Swagger is somewhat over. There are some things, lots of things they can do with Jack Swagger, but I don't see Jack Swagger coming back after this. He left before, came back with a completely racist gimmick, but the racist gimmick was way over in the States. And then all of a sudden, after Zeb Coulter left, he dropped off the face of the planet. And then he came back and did a match, a ridiculous stereotypical match with a stereotypical wannabe Muslim, even though he really wasn't Muslim at all in the minds of the people he could be, in a match post 9/11 to where he's supposed to lose. It made no sense to me. Zero sense to me. And it bugged the crap out of me because this is post 9/11. This was uncalled for, very stereotypical. Come on, guys, grow up. Seriously. But other than that, let's just move on down the line to the main event of the night. I'm just going to skip whatever else was in between there. I'm going to skip the New Day because the New Day's match was irrelevant to me. It just was. Like, their whole promo was irrelevant. And just like how Anderson and Gallows' promo was irrelevant. Yeah, they won. It's predictable. They're going to take the belts off, and I hope they do. I can't freaking stand the New Day now. I'm tired of that ridiculous Booty-O's gimmick. I'm ready for it to go. But other than that, skipping on that, skipping down the line, going straight to the main event. The main event, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. And if he wins, he'll be in the match. It never happens. Ever. Can we stop with the triple threat tease? Can we stop with the fatal four-way tease? It never happens because we know that it's a disaster. Fatal four-ways are always car crashes. Triple threats can sometimes be hidden gems. But other than that, they never happen because there's no purpose for it. None! It makes more sense to have a one-on-one match with Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins than have a triple threat with somebody that everybody hates. Not to mention you haven't even finished the feud with Roman Reigns and Rusev. And we saw only Rusev at the end of the night when he literally stomped the crap out of Roman Reigns even though he was already down. And then here comes Lana pointing. That's all we get? The one thing that I'm going to say here is this. There was no point to having that happen. Ever. There was no point to even have Roman Reigns inserted in there in the first place. The tease, a triple threat that was never going to happen. I am tired of this. It is getting old. This is not the 80s. This is not the early 90s. The crowds are getting smarter. They are wise up to this. You cannot fool them anymore. Okay? No matter how much you think you can, no matter how many ideas you run out of, you better come up with something new quick because your audience is starting to catch on. And when it's starting to catch on, you got to evolve with the audience because they are the people paying you. That's what you got to do. This ridiculous nonsense that happened in this is 80s, 90s crap. That's what that is. I understand that, yeah, Raw got 3 hours. They got a stacked roster, but that's what they asked for. So when you get all that, you got to make good with it. When you have 3 hours, you got to make good with it. Instead of stretching it out like it's a bunch of taffy. Disgusting, sticky taffy. And yeah, I like taffy, but this taffy tastes gross. It tastes like that you had a fresh taffy stretched out, you threw it in the road, it's covered in asphalt, drove over by a bunch of cars, and you're giving it to people saying, oh no, that's our new rock candy flavor. That's what I'm seeing this Raw is, and it's disappointing. Even though SmackDown had a very average pay-per-view last night, there were a lot of great moments, and they made good with it. They made good with what they had. They had bare bones, and they freaking know it. So they try to make good with what they got. It's not always the best, but at least they try. Raw seems like they're entitled because they had been on the first show that ever came on, and they're the longest reigning episodic show on the planet, whatever, and they feel like they're entitled. So even if they have a stacked card, even if they have a stacked roster, even though they have a show that's 3 hours, they can't make do with what they got. There's only been a handful of times that Raw has been amazing. A handful. I'm not saying that it could be that way every night, because even in the Attitude Era, nothing was perfect. But this is ridiculous. It is. I'm sorry. It's just stupid and dumb. You got a pay-per-view that you got to build up in 2 weeks to get people excited about watching it, to get people's money in, which is what you're supposed to do. But it seems like that everything is so freaking predictable and it don't make no sense. We already know what's going to happen and you're pulling the same crap that you pulled before. Well, all I can say for this Raw is this. This was the most unbearable Raw to get through. Mostly because it was just long and dragged out and predictable. And it made no sense towards the line. Yes, you had your spots. I will be wrong if I didn't say that. But good grief. Y'all, I'm done here, man. What are your thoughts about this Raw? Because honestly, I think it was a load of crap. But I want to hear your thoughts about this. Leave a comment in the comment section below. They need to try something. And not to mention, why are they pimping out the Connor's Cure just like they do Susan G. Komen? This is your man-made charity. I understand. You're trying to build a cure for pediatric cancer. I understand that. But why are you treating it like Susan G. Komen? I don't understand. Susan G. Komen is once a year. It's once a year. You see all that pink once a year. I get that. But now we saw Connor's Cure pretty much all of last week. We saw Connor's Cure on SmackDown last night. We see Connor's Cure tonight. Why are you pimping out your charity? We understand about Connor's Cure. I understand if you want to do it on SmackDown and also do it on Raw. But stop treating it like Susan G. Komen. This is your man-made charity. It's only supposed to be stated once and then you moving on and then you focus on what you're supposed to focus on, not the charity. Just saying. But other than that, guys, I'm done here. Nature Girl 30 out. Peace.